Hey, True Believers. Chris Mack coming at you today with X-Men number 5. And I've forgotten how awesome this book is. And this cover, to me, like number 4 is memorable, the way they kind of hint at the introduction of Omega Red. This is his second appearance. And just seeing these two attack each other like this, oh man, that just kind of gets your blood pumping and you're just like, man, what is going on here? And then just because this is an old school Jim Lee piece, I mean, just look at the intensity of the line work. You just do not get that kind of quality anymore. And I love how, Wolverine here is like some battle damage and you can actually see the metal in his skin where his claws retract into his wrists. That is just some really cool anatomy there. Oh, I could sit here and just gush over this and just the Dutch angle, the dynamicness of it, the shading. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into the book. So, before we even jump into any of this or what's going on, let's talk about who made this book. This is Jim Lee, plot and pencils. John Byrne, the script. Scott Williams, Art Thibert, and Bob Wyack, and Joe Rubinstein doing the inks. Tom and Lois doing the lettering, Joe Rosas doing the coloring, Bob Harris editing, and Tom DeFalco, editor-in-chief. And like I said, chiefing. But look at that, an all-star cast on this book. And immediately, right off the top of here, they're talking about how there's this mutant detection from Cerebro in the war room. And you'd think this is kind of boring the way they would just do the paneling like this, but the way that they write it, you feel the tension starting to build until it leads to this, what do you call it, kind of like this explosion, this cacophony of things going on, and it says blowback. And it's just kind of like, wait, what's going on? You don't get no team members, you don't see no action, it's computers. But the way that the plotting, the writing is paced, and the art helps exacerbate that, which is what the symbioticness of the comic book medium is. Now, the print date on this book, I believe, was February 1992. And then, after all that, then we get the team, everyone running into action. And I like how Psylocke here is just like, I was doing laps in the pool, and that bloody klaxon almost shot me right out of the water. And I had to look that up. Klaxon is like alarm bell. So you can see the urgentness of what's going on. So the mutants that kind of set off Cerebro was from the battle last issue. We went over issue 4, so make sure to check out that review and pick up a copy because that's the first appearance of Omega Red and that's starting to go like hotcakes. So boom, 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 action. And then we kind of, again, it's like a cacophony, just boom, boom, you get the suspense, you get the action, and then I miss when comic books would do this where the reading was engaging, but the action kind of kept your eyes, just the gorgeousness of it just kept you engaged. I mean, look at this, the way that Colossus and Cyclops jump out of the Blackbird and the way that it's written. So like the sonic dampeners are off. The scream of the jet presses against the fleeing van as a physical force. Time to drop in on our little friends. Moonlight glints silver bright on a hurtling figure. It just gives you chills. Modern comics, it's so hard to find books that write like that now, where it kind of just gives you the chills, just the most little nuances like that, because you know what they're introducing here. And then just see Peter, large and in charge here in the foreground, just getting ready to hurtle on top of this van to save his friends. And, there's an explosion, and everyone's like, oh my God, Colossus, he's fine. There's no way this blast could have hurt him. Just no way. Come on, you big dumb Russian. Don't make a liar out of me. Boom, right out of something like a T-1000 panel. That is engaging. And then we get some more action. It's like you don't get it to take a breath for a minute. We get the Omega Red Wolverine fight, and it is intense. Something you guys definitely want to read. I don't want to give away all the fighting here, but what's cool here is we see Matsuo, who's always such a little turd. So he's kind of the one that orchestrated all this. He's the one that's revived Omega Red. And if you go back and read Uncanny X-Men, what is it, 256, he's the one that was responsible for taking Betsy Braddock, Psylocke's mind, and putting it in the body of the assassin Quanon, because he was trying to turn her into an assassin for the Hand. So it's a really interesting time. This takes place after what happens to all the X-Men during the Siege Perilous, if you read Uncanny X-Men 250 and 251, where everyone kind of got scattered to the winds. Psylocke becomes an assassin. Peter loses his memories and becomes a art dealer in, what is it? Oh, what's the art part of New York? Anyway, so yeah, a lot of things happened during the Claremont era, but that's why I try to give you all issue numbers so you can go back and read them without being like, well, where did that happen? Because I know sometimes people just won't even tell the issue, and you're just like, well, yeah, a lot of this I had to dig myself, and read, and I'd just rather help you guys along. Anyway, so why am I saying all this? I want to express the comic history significance of Matsuo and this guy right here. He says, does seeing Logan again perhaps make you feel nostalgic? Yes. This is Dr. Cornelius. We just recently went over Marvel Presents the Weapon X arc from Barry Windsor Smith. And if you remember, it was Cornelius, Hines, and Dr. Cornelius, and I think I already said the professor. And you want to know what happens to them. And I love how Claremont, Byrne, Lee, and Hama took Windsor's script and just started implementing it into the lore moving forward, which is always great when a writer like that can start adding to the mythos of a character. So they're able to get their hands on Logan. And again, this 90s splash page, I know it's frustrating to turn the book, but just look at how gorgeous. That's like poster size, man. You can just take this out, which you don't want to do, but you could connect them and just make a nice poster out of that. There's something that now that we're doing the review, I can't remember their name. Strucker family wants that Logan was a part of, because we start kind of getting more into his fragmented history here. But that artwork, look at how dynamic that is. You do not see this in very modern comics anymore. All hand drawn, just 90s was one of the times to be alive as an X-Men fan, let me tell you what, friends. And look at that, you turn the page and another splash page. Yes, it's normal, but look at that, how everyone's getting ready. I mean, yes, it feels like a lot of reading, and I know I complain about that a lot, but what it is it's building up, and it's helping the reader, because they're talking about, well, who needs to go here? What do we need to do here? Because apparently there is a meeting with the Hellfire Club, which is what they need Jean and Storm and the gold team to go do. And it says here, all this takes place before Uncanny X-Men 281. The significance of that is issue 280 finishes the Muir Island saga. And 279, I believe, was the last book Claremont was on, and then 280, Nikezia took over. So that was kind of the Muir Island saga, the Extinction Agenda. That was where all the X-Men started to reconvene. So after that, 281 launched the whole new era of Uncanny X-Men. So 281 is a really significant issue as well. Make sure to read it. Love it. And then they say about the blue team going after these mysterious mutant and to save Logan. And of course he gets captured. How does he get captured? Read the book. And you see this figure here. He goes, Maverick to Central. This is going sour fast. Major Logan doesn't know what the is happening to him. I'm going to remix this party a little bit. So here, why is this important? I've always enjoyed this character. This is the first appearance of Maverick. So for those of you that bought the Deadpool Strong Guy Build-A-Figure wave recently, you're like, who the heck is Maverick? Go back and read this issue. You kind of start to get an idea of how he is part of the Weapon X program with Logan and Sabretooth. So very important character there. And I always liked him because when he's used sparingly like this, he's a great character. I love him. Love it. Anyway, so he kills the lights. And look at how Logan's able to get away. And all this without being brutally violent. You just kind of get the yellows for blood splatter. That is awesome. And then you just see Logan waking up and he's like, what? Where? Got the stuff, but all right, everybody, just back off. I don't know what's going on around here. And, Arcady, Omega Red, wants to get into a fight with him, but no such luck. Logan knows what's going on. And what I like here is as he's running, so we kind of get the modern time, and we run kind of into a flashback. And here we see Logan saving somebody, and you kind of find out that where he's at is what's clicking these flashback triggers. There's Sabretooth, there's Maverick, and so you start to see the importance of this character. And he gets a full reveal in this book, and I don't think Logan quite knows who he is at this point. So yeah, make sure to check this out. Start with issue 4 and then move forward. I like how these are serialized. I mean, it's always cool to get like a one standalone book, but when there's a series this big, like the story of Omega Red and dealing with Logan's memories, I'm glad that they took their time and stretched this out. And while all this is going on, we get an interlude, in a sense, with Malibu, California. Again, this goes back to the Siege Perilous. Uncanny X-Men start at 248, go up to 251 to kind of get the idea, then move forward, because it's interesting what happens to the X-Men. So when Allison entered it, she ended up on the shores of Malibu Beach. She has no memory. She's taken in by Leela Cheney and Guido, strong guy. And she has no idea of her memory with the X-Men. The Australian Outback, none of that. And then, boom, right out of nowhere, here's Shatterstar. And he goes, Allison, at last. We don't have much time, my love. You can't have forgotten this. And he kisses her. And then we see Spiral. And before any of that can happen, she says, you haven't realized yet, Mojo always gets his way. So on top of all this action we're getting with Omega Red, we're getting a sort of a prelude to the next arc, which we will eventually go over. But look at that, guys. Powerhouse team. They didn't have to work this hard. They could have just thrown out book after book. But the people that worked on this, and this is what I'm hoping, and this is what it feels like, they cared. That's why each character you read, Moira from the last issue, Logan, you care about them. And that's always good storytelling. You always want to care about your heroes, and you either want to love to hate or understand the backstory of a villain. And you start to get that with this book. Dynamic art, great writing. This is how you comic, everyone. So if you've enjoyed this comic book, please first and foremost support your LCS and see if they have a copy. And if you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate it if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club more than you could possibly know. And if you won't mind hitting that fancy little Maverick bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys will get notified. Come to the channel, and we love to hear your feedback and talk with y'all down in the comments below or on our social media pages, which I will make sure to leave the links down in the description below. So with all that said, thank you so much for stopping by. Hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.